Hi, my name is Kristy Sartain, and this is a presentation for NCBOLD called Ink to Link from Story Writers to Book Creators. The bit.ly to access this presentation is at bit.ly/NCBOLD24 Ink to Link, and that link is on all of the slides, and the QR code is there as well. So these two slides include all of the alignment to the new digital learning competencies. The first one is for educators, and the second one is for educational leaders. So who am I and why am I up here? Like I said, my name is Kristy Sartain. I am a school librarian. I've been a school librarian for 11 years, and I've experienced at the middle and the high school level. I've been a digital coach at the district level and then also at the state level as an SLMC digital coach. I am the NC SLAMA president, and I kind of do all the things that schools make librarians do. So I'm involved in a lot of stuff at the school level. So the premise of this session is to introduce students to micro stories, so creative writing, and also to book creator. So this has been many years coming. I have done this lesson plan for a very long time, and I've tweaked it over the years, and over the last couple of years have added book creator into it to give it a techie slant to it, because it's absolutely a non-technology lesson until we get to the book creator part. So this is a very short version of what it's like to go through my Miss Fortune Teller and book creator lesson as I teach it to students. And I teach this almost exclusively to seniors, so I feel like if it'll work for seniors and middle schoolers, it'll work for everybody in between as well. So this is our agenda for today and what we're going to cover. This is going to be a very shortened version of the in-person session. So when I teach this is a 2-day unit that I take students through. I always work with the teacher to figure out what theme and device of the story we're going to use, and then I add those elements to a fortune teller. I do have several linked at the end of this presentation, so you have some that are already done for you. I have best day ever, worst day ever. The worst day ever is always a lot of fun. Hero's journey, a gothic fortune teller, and I believe, there's a supernatural one. But we've also used it to add something to it. So let's say we're doing a hero's journey unit with the teacher, but she wants to add a Shakespearean element. So the students have to create a micro story with a hero's journey element and include a little bit of Shakespearean anything into it as well. So you can make it whatever you need it to be. So this is always a 2-day lesson for me. Day one is the fortune teller or Miss Fortune Teller. I'll call it both things throughout because usually it's a Miss Fortune Teller, where we write the story with no technology at all. It's just students in a very small group using the fortune teller to help them write a story based on one of the themes or devices that we have used. And in day two, they put that story into book creator. And we used to just do book creator by itself and have them create something, but then they ended up with decision paralysis, where they had so many options they didn't know what to do. So this is one of the ways that we've tweaked it over the years. So fortune teller helps narrow down the story because, again, they get overwhelmed with all of the decisions and all the pieces of a story that they could do. And having a micro story makes it not too overwhelming. So when I say micro story, I mean 1 page. That's it. That is the minimum. 1 handwritten page on the front. They can obviously go over that, and if they have time, that is fantastic. I had one student that actually wrote 7 pages in the time. It just really triggered something in her, and she went full forward with it. And then the next day she came in and said, okay, I'm writing a book based on this. I just wanted to let you know. So I thought that was pretty cool. So calling it a micro story helps so students don't get overwhelmed. And then the group work, writing together, makes it collaborative and a lot more fun than writing it by yourself. Also, you get to hear all the arguments of what students want to include in the story and what they want to leave out. I give them no more than 90 seconds to create their character. It just takes the stress away of putting too much into it. They need a name and an age. That's it. Sometimes I only give 60 seconds, but 90 seconds is enough time for them to argue and then get it done. So after they come up with that, they have to write it on the top of their paper so they have their character's name and their age. That way it's a visual reminder of their character while they're writing. So the fortune teller part, this is a lot of fun. So usually students haven't done one of these in years, like years and years, so I have to walk them through it. in our lesson today, if you were in person, you would be sitting with a group. Your group is going to choose your theme. So I have several different kinds of fortune tellers that you can choose from, and that's what kind of story you're going to write. So you're going to follow the directions to create the fortune teller, and then you're going to use it to choose at least one thing that's going to happen to your character. You can choose more than that. That would make a very interesting story. But you have to choose at least one thing that's going to happen to your character. And you can choose one of two ways. You can follow the fortune teller and let it tell you what to do, or you can just open it and look at all the things on the, or the options on the inside. It is fine. It does not matter. But the fortune one is fun. So to follow the origami, there's a link at the very end of it that tells you how to fold it so that you get it done the right way. And remember, it has to be very precise. Otherwise, it's not going to fold the right way. Okay, so as a student, you now have 90 seconds to come up with your character's name and age. Make sure you write it on the top of your paper. All right, so now we're going to get into the story. If you're giving the lesson, this is where you're going to talk about the elements of the story that you want to include. Obviously, you need a beginning, middle, and an end. If you want to be specific about including a rising action or climax, or see if students come up with it naturally. Depends on where you are in your unit for this. I did literally have a student say, does the story have to make sense? Yes, it has to make sense. There has to be some sort of continuity throughout the story for that. So this is where you're going to go over all of your requirements for a story with your students. Now, again, it has to be one page, handwritten at a minimum. They can go over as much as they want to, but that is the minimum for that, your rubric for that. All right, so for today, you have 20 minutes to write your micro story. If I were doing it in person, they would have the remainder of the period. At the high school level, we have 90-minute classes, so I give them that entire time to write it so they can edit and get everything done. This is also where I encourage them to use an outline, because they will talk about things and get really excited about an idea and then completely forget about it 10 minutes later when they're actually writing it. So outlines are strongly encouraged at this part as well. Okay, so the story is now written, and we're going to get into the book creator side. So when I teach it to students, I give really brief instructions, and then when I teach it to you, I'm going to also do the same thing. So in book creator, and I've got a tab open up here, you have, when you log in, first of all, you have to log in as a teacher. The default is student. So when you go to bookcreator.com, make sure you click login as student. So you have all of these options up here. And then to create a library, you're just going to click on create a library. The name of the library, I usually do it by period and by class when they come in. And then you have all of these options for you. I would look pretty deeply into some of these because there is some internet use that you may need to worry about, especially if you have younger students. So make sure you have that one. And then just hit create at the bottom. Now, apps up here is where you're going to turn on the fun things. So you have the option to add Giphies, Bitmojis. You can have Canva integration, which I highly recommend because some of our students love Canva. And animated emojis, if you're doing social studies or you like graphic organizers, you can add that as well. And then you have Google Drive and feedback stickers, any of the stuff that you would like to add for your students. This is where you're going to turn them off and on. So if you're in my class or in the session, then you have all these codes to be able to go in and create your book while we're doing this. However, if you're online, you can use any of these that you would like. You can slow down and look at them in the slideshow. But this is how your students get on. They'll go to app.bookcreator.com, and then they have the code they have to put in to get to your library so that you can have access to all of their books. So on the student side, I believe very strongly that students need to play with it to be able to learn it, because we're not really teaching the tech tool for the tech tool. We're teaching tech tools so that they will have the soft skills to be able to learn new things. So typically when I go in, I have them tell me what to do. So let's say we're going to go to my books and I say, okay, where do you think you're going to start? And of course they yell, new book. Cool. It's a new book. And then I go through the two options that they have. They have the blank books or the templates, and they can choose whichever one they want. They can have the book, or they can do the graphic novel / comic book for that. And I take them through both of them. I do tell them that with a blank book, the nice thing is they can create from nothing, so they have lots of options. But if they choose a template, then they have to go in and they have to touch everything. Every single thing in there, because every page has something on it already. So if they're not really big on doing that, then they probably shouldn't choose a template. Most of the students that I teach this to do go with a blank book. So let's go into a comic book just to see what it looks like. So we go in and I say, okay, where do you think we're going to go now? Plus sign. Perfect. So over here, they have 3 options, and within options, all of the tabs down. They can add images from their computer. They can, yes, take a picture of themselves for it, and I recommend they do that on the author page. They can write with a pen. They can add text. They can even record their voices. So this is really good for multilingual students. So they can go in and record either the English version or the version in their native language, or any other language that they want to do. If they're learning one, this is a great way to do that too. Then they can come in and choose their layout. And it puts it in there. Bam. Super easy. So obviously we'll go through the cover. I forgot to add a page first. We go through a cover. What usually goes on the cover, the title, the author's name, stuff like that. A great image that should hopefully give a glimpse about what the book is like. It doesn't have to give things away, and it doesn't have to tell everything, but it needs to match what the cover is. And then over here is where they're going to add a page if they want to do that. Okay, then go back. All right, so more under the addition, you have your shapes. So they can add any shape that they want to, and then you can search for so many things on here. It's really crazy. And then under more is where you're going to see those apps that you added before. Now, if you forgot to add an app, you can go in and do it this way. I don't believe students can add it, but you can go in as a teacher and add those. And then your information, this is going to give you your background for that. Any colors that you want to add, just really a way to personalize Book Creator for students. So again, they don't necessarily need to know how to use Book Creator. They need to know how to navigate a tech tool with minimal instruction. So that's really all I'm looking for them. I forgot to tell you how to add a co-teacher. So you're going to go back to your class. Whoops. To your library, click on the period that you're doing, and then right up here is how you're going to do that. So you can have your invite code, have the teacher go in there, and then after they have gone into your class, then you can just click add as a co-teacher. So they're good to go with that. All right, so your 20-minute countdown now to put your microstory into Book Creator starts now. So this is where we get to share. So how do you envision using this in your classroom or your library? There's a Google form here where you can put some examples of how you might be able to use it, either specific or general that you can do. And then I also have linked the responses to that Google form. So everybody that fills this out will be able to see everybody else's answer if they would like. So remember that when you're going through it. These are some resources that I put together that were mentioned in this slideshow. All of this started from a John Claude Bemis session that I went to a very, very, very long time ago at ECU in the Librarian to Librarian Networking Summit. And he talked about getting writer's block. And this is how he gets over writer's block when he's writing his middle grades novels. So I asked him if it was okay if I made that into a lesson. And he said yes, so it's kind of gone from there. The How to Fold a Fortune Teller and then the Miss Fortune Teller templates, these are the ones that I have done over time. And there's also a lesson plan where you can use Fortune Teller in your classroom. Then the Book Creator Resource Library and certification if you would like to get certified. I do recommend doing that. Book Creator has a lot of great free options, but they also have a lot of great step-up options as well if you upgrade your account. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is Kristy@ncslma.org. I am happy to help out with any questions that you have about this.